The celestial chamber of the Galactic Council had witnessed 10,000 years of diplomacy. Its crystalline walls had absorbed the trembling pleas of dying civilizations, the triumphant declarations of conquering empires, and the careful, measured treaties of species who had learned the hard way that war was expensive and peace was merely cheaper. It had never witnessed anything like this. Admiral Darian Voss pushed his chair back. The sound it made, a simple scrape of metal against polished obsidian, echoed through the chamber like a gunshot. Every alien head turned. Every compound eye, every sensory tendril, every bioluminescent patch flickered toward the single human sitting at the far end of the negotiating table. He stood up slowly. Admiral Voss. High Chancellor Zaratha's voice carried the harmonic resonance of his species, 3 vocal cords producing a chord rather than a note. It was designed, evolutionarily, to command attention. To soothe. To dominate. We have not concluded the session. Darian Voss buttoned the top button of his uniform jacket. He was a compact man, by human standards, even, with close-cropped gray hair and a jaw that looked like it had been carved from the same obsidian as the floor. He picked up his datapad. He tucked it under his arm. "I know," he said simply. He began walking toward the exit. For exactly 4 seconds, nobody moved. The Veth ambassador, a creature of pale, translucent flesh and 6 nervous arms, made a sound like a kettle beginning to boil. The Sarati delegates exchanged rapid clicks through their mandibles. Even the ancient, slow-moving Drell, who processed time at approximately 1/3 the speed of most species, managed to register what was happening with visible alarm. High Chancellor Zarath rose from the central throne, an act so rare that 3 junior council members later admitted they had never seen it happen before. His 4-meter frame unfolded like a telescope extending toward the stars. His crest, a biological status indicator that had evolved to signal supreme authority, fanned to full width. Humanity's representative will return to his seat. Darian Voss did not return to his seat. He paused at the chamber door and turned back, not with the expression of a man who had been caught, but with the expression of a man who had chosen, very deliberately, to give them one final moment of his attention. "Chancellor Zarath," he said, "I've sat at this table for 19 days. My government sent me here with 3 requests. 3. Not demands, requests." He raised one finger. Recognition of the Kepler corridor as sovereign human transit space. A second finger. Mutual defense consultation rights in the event of directorate incursion. A third. A seat on the resource allocation subcommittee with actual voting power, not advisory status. The chamber was so silent that the atmospheric processors could be heard cycling. In 19 days, Voss continued, his voice carrying no particular heat, which somehow made it worse, the Council has offered us a strongly worded letter of acknowledgement for the corridor, a promise to consider consultation rights on a case-by-case basis, and an advisory seat. He lowered his hand. "You have not moved. Not once. Not 1 centimeter. Zaratha's crest pulsed. "Humanity is a junior species. The protocols of incremental integration? We know the protocols." Voss said it without interruption, without raising his voice, in the tone of a man stating a fact about weather. "We've read your protocols. We've studied them. We understand exactly what they're designed to do and exactly how long they're designed to take." He tilted his head slightly. "We're choosing not to participate in them." Another silence. Longer this time. Ambassador Thylene of the Sarati, eldest member of the Council, survivor of 4 interstellar conflicts, and negotiator of the famous Silence Accords of 7200 GSC, leaned toward her communications officer and whispered something. The officer whispered back. Thylene's mandibles clicked slowly, thoughtfully. She was the first to understand what was actually happening. Humans, she would later write in her memoirs, do not negotiate from fear. They never have. We assumed, because they were young, that they were weak. We assumed, because they smiled, that they were eager to please. We forgot, or perhaps we never knew, that there is a particular kind of creature in the universe that smiles most warmly when it has already decided it does not need you. Admiral Voss. It was Zareth again, but something in the chord of his voice had shifted. A frequency that Darien Voss couldn't consciously identify but instinctively read the same way his ancestors had read rustling grass on the savannah. If humanity walks away from this table, the Council cannot guarantee your protection against Directorate expansion. The Directorate fleet controls 11 systems on our spin-ward border, Voss said. Yes. We know. He almost smiled. We've been in quiet contact with the Directorate for about 8 months now. They're interested in our manufacturing capacity. We're interested in their resource access. It's a very practical conversation. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. The Veth ambassador's 6 arms all moved simultaneously, a display of agitation so extreme it was almost never seen in a diplomatic setting. The Drell delegate's color shifted from diplomatic gray to alarm orange with a speed that was, for a Drell, essentially instantaneous. Because everyone in that room understood what Voss had just said. Not a threat. Not a bluff. A simple, calm description of a universe in which humanity had already begun making alternative arrangements, and had simply been polite enough to keep showing up here while they did. You've been negotiating with the Directorate, Zareth said slowly, while simultaneously negotiating with the Council. We're humans, Voss said pleasantly. We're very good at doing multiple things at once. He tucked the datapad more firmly under his arm. I want to be clear, we prefer this relationship. The Council represents stability, shared values, a framework of law that has functioned for millennia. We respect that. We genuinely want to be part of it. His voice didn't change. But not as a junior species being incrementally integrated at whatever pace your protocols dictate. We are 300 years from our first spaceflight and we have colonized 47 systems. We are not junior. We are simply new. Those are very different things. He turned back toward the door. Admiral. This time it was Thylene. Her voice, a complex harmonic that carried the weight of experience in every overtone, stopped him more effectively than Zareth's authority had. He turned. She was standing. For a Sarati of her age, that was not nothing. The subcommittee seat, she said carefully. Full voting rights. It can be arranged. Voss waited. Thylene's mandibles moved in what those who knew Sarati culture recognized as a gesture of considerable personal cost. The Kepler corridor recognition. Formal. Logged in council record. And the mutual defense consultation? Voss asked. Zareth's crest had fully retracted. He stood very still. And then, slowly, he sat back down, not with defeat, but with the particular grace of an entity that was recalibrating its understanding of a situation. Binding consultation rights, Zareth said. Not case by case. Standing rights, formalized in the Defense Charter. Darien Voss stood at the door of the chamber for a long moment. He looked at the assembled representatives of 43 species, the diplomatic inheritors of 10,000 years of interstellar civilization, who were watching a human in a buttoned uniform jacket stand at the threshold of their most sacred negotiating chamber, having just, in the space of about 4 minutes, moved further than 19 days of formal sessions. He walked back to the table. He sat down. He placed the datapad on the surface in front of him, opened it, and looked up at High Chancellor Zareth with an expression of complete professional courtesy. Shall we draw up the formal language? He asked. Later, much later, after the documents were signed and the delegates had filtered out into the corridors of the station, Ambassador Thylene found herself walking beside one of her junior aides, a young Sarati on his first council posting. I don't understand, the aide admitted quietly. How did he know it would work? Walking away, it's enormous risk. If the council had simply let him go. They couldn't, Thylene said. Why not? She was quiet for a moment, her ancient mandibles moving in slow contemplation. Because he wasn't performing desperation. He was performing indifference. And the most dangerous creature in any negotiation is not the one who needs the deal. She paused. It is the one who is entirely prepared to walk away from it. The aide considered this. And humans? Humans, Thylene said, with something that might, in a Sarati, have been called respect, have been walking away from things since before they had starships. From savannas. From shorelines. From one solar system to the next. She gestured at the empty chamber behind them. Walking away is not a tactic for them. She moved toward the exit. It is simply what they do when a place no longer serves them.